Thanks so much for staying here on the AM show. I'm Bernice Abu-Baidoo Lansah, and it's now time to delve into issues of national concern, also focus a bit on Parliament and what's been happening there, and also take the thoughts of my guests on our latest development with regards to the IMF and the hopes of securing that $3 billion loan from the fund. Well, joining me this morning, Murtala Mohammed, MP, Tamale Central. Good morning to you in your very nice looking smock.
Thank you.
And Sylvester Tete, MP for Botiano English Yamanfrom. Good morning to you. It's good to see you. I was in your constituency about a month ago talking about the bad roads there. I understand there's some good news for your constituents. The roads are being worked on.
Exactly. Thank you very much. And let me say a very good morning to you and my good brother. And thank you for coming. And I think that, I told you the last time I told you that plans were far advanced for the beginning of the construction of 6.2 kilometers, of which 2.5 had already been awarded, and it has started from the West Hills Mall side towards the top, and then hopefully very soon another 3.8 will be starting from that Jasco Junction where we had that particular interview. To my constituents, I will always be grateful to them and thank them for the patience they've had to endure the deplorable state of roads in the constituency. And that's not the only place. Additional 33 kilometers has also been approved, and we are hoping that contractors will come to site. And those that have been stored in the budget line, in the budget allocations for clearance of arrears, I hope that the ministry will work assiduously to pay the contractors for them to return back to site. And
so this is fully funded by the Ghana government?
Yeah, it's a GOG funded project.
Right.
And I am hopeful that with a policy statement of a 2.5% VAT targeted at the road sector, I mean, if we should ring fence it specifically for that, then I'll be hopeful that most of our roads will be done. And that's what we are all looking forward to. As we tighten our belt to support government, we will continue to urge government, yes, to do. For roads in this country, every MP, every constituency, every municipality is in dire need of roads, because that is what drives our development.
But there are some who have more need than others.
Of course, like mine. Like
your roads
mine.
are very
it's the West. When the minister visited, he acknowledged that this is the worst hit area in the entire country, or places that he had visited.
Right.
Yeah, because if you go to Botiano English Yamanfrom, over 1,700 kilometers of roads tarred are less than 5%. So you can imagine that people cannot access their homes. So clearly, I think that we'll get there, and we are getting there.
Murtala retorted while you were speaking. He
of course.
What's the problem? Why you don't have any good news from your constituents?
No, when he said that we should tighten our belts.
I said, as we tighten our belt, of course, everybody is tightening his.
No. You people, you don't even have belt hooks.
Can you imagine?
They don't have belt hooks.
What they have decided to do is to rip off even the belt hooks.
Interesting.
They threw the belt somewhere and then gathered at the Flagstaff house and said that, look, we need to get off these belt hooks. If not, they would demand that we also tighten our belts. You can't tell us to tighten our belts when you have thrown away your belt and remove your belt hooks.
But then their trousers or whatever they're wearing will fall off, isn't it?
They use, what do they call them?
Braces.
Braces.
Interesting. But let's focus on parliaments, because the last time you were here, you told us about the plans of the minority to fight against some introductions in the budget. You spoke about the VAT, but quite recently we saw you specifically on the National Cathedral project. We know that there are concerns, but what are the specific issues you have with it now?
Well, first and foremost, let me be very clear. We don't have a national cathedral. There isn't anything called National Cathedral. What we have is President Nana Ado's cathedral. I'm wondering how a personal pledge with your creator becomes a state responsibility. So tomorrow, another presidential candidate wins elections and says that I had a pledge with Satan, and that I pledged with Satan that I was going to do this, and therefore it should become a state responsibility. Absolutely ridiculous. Now, the president never mince words. He said that this was a personal pledge. Now, we're also told by the same president and his numerous communicators that the state was not going to commit any money into it, that the only money that was going to be provided by the state was the seed money. We have very respected, religious leaders in this country who also went to town with the same narrative. I don't know what discussions they had with the president, that there wasn't going to be any commitment of a dime of the state on the project except the seed money. And that explains why in the 2018 budget, they said that the government was going to provide only the seed money. Now, as we sit today, I believe your station has been to the site. Not even a block. Not even a block. Government has already sunk 339 million Ghana cedis on the project. These are not my words. These are words by the Minister for Finance in his response to questions that were asked by the ad hoc committee. The response given to the committee and therefore Parliament was signed by the Minister. And he stated that they have spent so far 339 million Ghana cedis. Isn't that ridiculous? That 339 million Ghana cedis has been spent on a project that you can't find even a block. By the way, the land was not bought. The land was state land. And I can tell you that with all the detail the minister gave, he said they have paid so far over $25 million to the architect, one Ghs80m. Look, let me tell you something about that same company, that same Ghs80m. 2008, with the anticipation of MPP winning elections and President Nana Addo becoming president, he opened an office in Ghana. When Nana Addo could not become president, he closed the office and left this country, only for him to come back. Those
are reasons you are alluding
to
his actions.
Let me just finish. Only for him to come back. Only for him to come back in 2017. So everything he ever wanted to do was to support this government to see how they could rob this country the more. And I'm saying this for a reason. Burj Khalifa, it is the biggest, more complex building, the tallest building in the world, more complex than the cathedral. We've all seen the designs. The architect was paid $5 million. Now, let's say that this was a different architect. This same Ghs80m, this same person they think that we should celebrate, who has no sympathy and empathy for this country. He designed the African American Historic Museum in America, which is bigger, complex than the cathedral. He was paid a little over $5 million. Now he has been paid $25 million. $25 million. If this is not thievery in the name of God, how can you describe this? It's unfathomable. So when you tell me that we should tighten our belts and you do this, to be very honest, I believe my former department, Department of Architecture and Planning at KNUST, there are students, the final year architecture students, who can design something more complex and better than what we have been given. Now, how does the man feel? The Ghs80m man, a Ghanaian, they say we should celebrate him. He's an international architect, a well-renowned architect. How does he feel that if they pay him $25 million for this project, now, does he have a very good slip when he ponder how much he was paid in a similar, more complex project in America where he was paid a little over $5 million? But let me also make this point very clear. When we raise issues about this, and we said that you could not be taking money from the contingency fund for the purposes of a project, and more so when it involved an international entity, it doesn't matter whether the person is a Ghanaian or not. But if you have that, now we said, one, he needed parliamentary approval, which was never done. So it was illegally done. Now, when all these issues were raised, and including you people in the media, government decided to put it under the budget line of the Ministry of Tourism. I served on the Trade and Industries and Tourism Committee. Well, that is how the committee is called. So it involves two ministries, Trade and Industries and Tourism Committee. We looked at the budget of the Ministry of Trade and its allied agencies. When it came to the time of the Ministry of Tourism, we realized that that was found under the Ministry of Tourism budget line, 80 million Ghana cedis. And every year, before we approve the estimates, we try to find out how you expended the monies given to you the previous year. Because you must give justifications why you think that we should give you more or we should give you less. Right. Now, when we went there, we could not, when we asked the questions about the 339 million Ghana cedis that has so far been spent, the minister in his explanation, he could not provide us with that answer. Because as at the time those expenses were made, he was not the one in charge. Now, we wanted to find out simply, this 80 million Ghana cedis, we asked about 3 or 4 questions. Whether he participated in planning the budget.
That's the Minister for Tourism.
The Minister for Tourism. Because if you have a budget line under your ministry's budget, whether he participated in planning the budget, because we have a budget planning committee, he couldn't answer the question. And I remember I asked the chief director, because he's the leader of the technical team. Perhaps the minister may not be involved, but as the leader of the technical team of the ministry, whether he participated in plan that he couldn't answer. The heads of agencies who were there couldn't answer. That was one question. Two, we also wanted to find out whether the project was under an agency within the Ministry of Tourism or it was directly under the head office, that is the Ministry of Tourism. They couldn't answer the question. We also wanted to find out the items, the breakdown of the 80 million, because if you have an 80 million total sum of the budget, you need to indicate in the budget 20 million is for this, 10 million is for this. Nothing. They just put 80 million. Shockingly.
I'll give you time. I'll give you time to respond.
Shockingly, if you take every budget, you have a column, a paragraph for policy statement that explains the policy position of government. Now, so if you take all the policies to be implemented by any government under any ministry, government will state it in the column or in the paragraph for policy statement. If you take page 125 of the budget statement, which was presented by the minister, and you look at column 617, the heading is Minister of Tourism and Culture. There is no mention of Cathedral.
So you suspect that this is just being done?
No, I'm just getting to it. There is no mention of Cathedral. You only find the Cathedral being mentioned in the appendix. And in the appendix, they haven't even provided the details. Now, how on earth do you think that members of parliament whose comfort and work are ensured by the taxpayer should approve a budget under a ministry's budget line in which the minister himself cannot explain, the directors, the technical people at the ministry cannot explain? They just put the 80 million Ghana cedis there. They have not provided us with the breakdown of the 80 million. They haven't provided us with response with regards to the 339 million Ghana cedis that has so far been spent. Another very critical question we asked. We wanted to know how much is now left for the project to complete. Because if you spend 339 million, and I will bring 80 million, is it that the 80 million would complete the project? The minister and this government could not tell us how much is now left.
And us refers to the committee.
The committee, and even, I mean, that's parliament, because it's a committee of the speaker. As if we are zombies, that they bring it there, we should just sign. It will be unquestionable if we approve this thievery. And to be very, no, it is thievery. Look, it is.
Slide.
But what is it?
I'll give you time.
If this is not thievery, what is it?
So let's conclude.
I want to ask Sly. I want to ask Sly. Can I? Sly, I want to ask you. Please. Fear God. Look into the cameras and tell me that will you pay $25 million for the designs? Please, Sly. Sly, can I? You would have the chance. Sly, look, let's call a spade a spade. It's thievery.
No, please stop this.
This is thievery. This is
right. No. Slide. Hold on, gentlemen.
Oh, I said on TV and it says a particular project is thievery. You are worried. You guys sat on the floor of Parliament, not on TV, and call the NDC thieves with placards. You don't have the moral turpitude. You don't have the moral leg under any circumstance. You don't have the moral leg.
Can we move on? I'm saying that the conclusion of your point is that this project, as huge as it is, one of the major ones this government is embarking on, it has been put under a certain ministry. It is not cited within the ministry's details of projects under the budget in the ministry for the ministry. It's only cited in the appendix. And so what? What is your suspicion?
You see, our
so you're allowing him to.
I will give you time.
I mean, you are the moderator. You are the moderator.
I will give you time.
You are the moderator.
I will give you time. I will give you time to respond. So you sit on consent for him to do this? Please. So what is the conclusion? What is the conclusion of your thoughts?
I'll conclude. I read.
How many minutes is he speaking?
I read a book.
20 minutes?
Oh, come on. Don't do this.
Murtala, please. Proceed. Can we have a conversation?
I read a book of Malcolm X and his autobiography, and I would challenge and urge my friend to read that book. He made a very famous statement that I am for truth no matter who says it. I am for justice no matter who is it for or against. I'm a human being first and foremost. As such, I'm for whoever and whatever benefits humanity as a whole. Maybe if I can borrow his words, and let me acknowledge, lest I'll be accused for doing what President Nana Addo did in his first inaugural speech, so that I'll be accused for perjury. I'm just borrowing the words of Malcolm X. I'm for truth, no matter who says it. I'm for justice, no matter who is it for or against. I'm a Ghanaian first and foremost. I am for whoever and whatever benefits Ghana as a state. Right. I want Sly to answer me. Whether sincerely, I'm concluding, Sly, whether sincerely you will pay $25 million to Ajayi for the designs we've all seen. When you juxtapose that to a similar work the same Ajayi, the same person Ghanaian did in America, which is more complex, bigger than our project, and he was paid less than $5 million.
But the concern
if this is not thievery, what else? How do you?
I mean, at this point in the argument of the National Cathedral, Mr. Murtala, we've moved beyond that. I'm asking you what your concerns are with regards to the current development, the projects being put under the Ministry of Tourism. Your concerns about that, and why it's such a big deal for you. Every
minister should be able to explain the budget in his ministry.
And so that's your concern. So you suspect that it's just been put there?
Not that we suspect, he couldn't explain.
All right, so for a project as big as this, and while you're answering my question, you can deal with all the pointers that you wanted to respond to. Please, Sly. So, Sly, so for a project as big as the National Cathedral, we all know what the concerns are. It appeared during the motion for the censure hearing. There were concerns about how much we spent on the cathedral and where the monies were gotten from. Now, it appears that the cathedral project is just being put under the Ministry of Tourism to deal with that aspect. That is what it appears is happening. But why do you think that we won't have such details? And for him, who is a member of the committee, we won't have responses from the minister who is responsible now for overseeing that project?
Very well. Let me say good morning to our viewers once again. But let me register this protest. To say this is thievery, I mean, this is not fair.
This is robbery, armed robbery.
You promised that you are not going to do this bantering. Look, this is unfair. To see it on TV and call an ongoing project a thievery, this is most unfortunate to come from a member of parliament.
Why?
It's the most unfortunate. How do you arrive by the fact that it's a thievery?
You want me to explain?
Just because, no, please, you had your time. Just because you disagree with the project, you call it thievery. That's the most unfortunate thing to have happened to our democracy. And we wake up as early as 5 o'clock, come and sit here, and that's all you can do, simply because you disagree.
Not that I disagree.
He's given his reasons why he thinks that we've been
challenge those reasons. No. Play the ball, don't play the man. Challenge the reasons. Challenge the facts I have provided.
Can you allow him to respond?
You see how it feels.
You gave a quote. You see, so it's just a political
you see how it feels.
It's not about the substance of the discussion, but the political equalization and political expediency. Because if you are telling me, I see how it feels, but let me go back to the quote.
No, of my interjection, that's what I'm saying.
No.
You are worried that I'm interjecting, but you were doing it inside.
Can we hear you, Murtala, please? Can you hold on?
About 20 minutes.
Go ahead.
I
just want to
20 minutes is an exaggeration.
It is not.
Please, let's go on. Sly, can we go on?
Yeah, we can go on.
Yes.
7:30.
Please proceed. Please proceed.
7:30.
Look, let me say this. It is not, we can't take what Murtala is saying for a fact, because the committee's report is not out yet. That the minister had not been able to explain it.
Okay.
Yes, because every committee's work, until you have the report, you can't say that for a fact.
Okay, but what about the concerns he raised in the budget itself?
No, please. So, we all know that this project is ongoing. It's not a new project that you are introducing. Right. It's already ongoing.
Right.
So if it doesn't find expression in the policy statement, there's nothing wrong with it.
Please, there is
everything wrong with that.
Oh, look.
A controversial one aside.
What is the controversy?
Not a controversy. That's what we are supposed to do.
The policy. You think everything government will do will find expression in the policy statement? No.
Okay.
It hasn't been.
Are you serious?
Yes, I'm very serious. Because there are things you never mention in policy, it will come back. And it's ongoing.
Are you?
So the fact that it's not mentioned in the policy does not make it an illegality.
You are smarter than what you are doing.
No, please. No, please, what are you talking about?
Murtala,
no, please, don't stop this.
No.
Murtala, stop this. Are you saying that every government project...
No, let him speak.
What are you saying? That if the thing is not in the policy statement, it means it's an illegality?
Have I said that?
You haven't said so. So there's nothing wrong with the fact that the thing is not in the policy statement.
That's fair enough.
The most important thing It's about the questions you are raising. Let's find answers to them.
Right.
One, the project, first of all, we must all agree that this is a national project.
No, we haven't all agreed.
Well, you can disagree.
We haven't.
You can disagree.
We haven't.
National Cathedral.
It's the Nana Ado's Cathedral, not a national cathedral.
What is
we haven't all agreed. It was not even in your manifesto. It was not even in your manifesto.
When you paid monies to people for XTS, was XTS in your manifesto? Was XTS? When you started from Professor Mills, was XTS in your manifesto?
Gentlemen.
XTS, was it in your manifesto?
Building homes.
Was it in your manifesto?
It was in our manifesto.
Was it in your manifesto? It was not in your manifesto. Go and check.
Hold on.
Okay.
Go and check.
So for you, what makes it a national?
Go and read the NDC manifesto in 2008. Look, we were going to expand accommodation. So don't even go there.
Gentlemen,
if you don't know,
if the two of you talk at the same time, Murtala and Sly, if you talk at the same time, we can't hear anybody. So please, can you hold on for him? Can you hold on for him to finish?
I'm just giving a dose of what he gave me repeatedly. A dose.
And he can't contain. Then the program will have to stop the program.
He was quiet most of the time. Really? Let's listen to you. So for you, it's a national project.
It's a national. It remains a national project. The president at the State of the Nation addressed it. When the finance minister came to parliament, during the censure, even before the censure, he said, look, this is a national. That is why we are putting the seed money and government is providing the land and rally good people of this country and beyond to support it. So
it's a president's promise that has translated into a national project.
He's a vision bearer of this country for the next 8 years.
Fair enough.
2 more years to go. He's a vision bearer. So you think all the free SHS and everything, it came from the president. That's his vision. That is why the good people of this country voted for him. Well, no. It remains one of his visions for this country. So what is wrong with that? Since when has a president vision now become his personal thing?
Okay.
Since when?
I'll respond to that.
Please stop it. So you can choose to do the semantics and the politics with it. But the National Cathedral remains a national monument. It's a national cathedral registered in the name of the president. There are trustees for it. And if today, yes, it didn't start from the ministry. And say, look, this is a national cathedral that will be managed and maintained by the Museum and Monument Board. And that is under the Ministry of Tourism. His allegation of the minister not able to explain. We all don't have the fact. I'm not a member of the committee. Until the committee reports come to parliament.
So it remains an allegation.
It remains an allegation. And he can choose to go because the way he's attacking. Yes, because yes, as we sit here, I'm not a member of the committee. She's not privy to the report.
Wow.
But the minister that appeared before, he's not here. And you are making an allegation that he couldn't explain. What are you talking about? That the whole ministry and the budget line has been allocated to the ministry. Don't you know, before the budget is approved, it goes through cabinet and all that. And you are saying that he's not able to explain. Look, you can raise questions about the procurement, the cost of it and everything. You are entitled to it. You are entitled to it. Look, asking me if it were my money, would I have used it? I'd asked similar questions in the past. If the bus branding were your personal money, would you have used that money to do bus branding in this country when you were in power?
That is why you...
Yeah, so you can ask the questions. I will not fault you for asking.
There were answers.
I will not fault you.
But you haven't proven.
So for you, Sly, are you comfortable with the way you say it's an ongoing project? You say it doesn't.
No, let me answer some of the questions. Let me answer some of the issues he raised. First of all, as to the detailed expenditure, there is a contract for construction. So you always make a budgetary allocation. The work is ongoing. So, and obviously, it will cost more than the 80 million. Some money has already been expended. The minister had explained that. So it is going to support the ongoing construction. So if you ask the minister, come today, the 80 million, what are you going to use it for? Because the bill of quantities has already been approved and the contract awarded. So it's a budgetary support for the ongoing project. As asking how much it's going to cost, that's a legitimate question to ask. Because it started from government giving the seed money. Ordinary citizens are called on to contribute. And I know many Ghanaians who had already contributed.
Yes.
So the 325
million
are still contributing. So it's not every penny spent on the project.
But are you satisfied with the way your government has handled, especially expenditure around this National Cathedral project?
No money is expended had never been disclosed to the good people of this country. Every penny spent had been disclosed to the good people of this country. Nothing that has been spent had not been accounted for. Look, as I sit here, the continuous delay of the project will even increase the pricing of it. And that's where, for me, I'm worried about. But as to the importance of the project and its nationality, it's not in doubt. But so if you ask the minister that
But you know how long we had to push to get to know, for example, how much was given as seed money? And that's why I'm asking if you're satisfied.
That was clear from the beginning that the seed money of 100 billion was going to be expended. The land was going to be given to the 100 million cedis was a seed money. That was promised, and people should contribute. And some funds were raised even from outside this country to support its construction. If it gets to a stage.
But you knew at a point that some of your colleagues in Parliament didn't know anything about this, right?
Like I told you, it didn't come to Parliament as they are seeking that they must come to Parliament and all that. This is not an international contract that ought to have come to Parliament. Yes, it's true. That matter has been dealt with.
Okay.
Yes, it's been dealt with. Okay. It is not an international agreement that's supposed to come to Parliament for it. Look,
so let's quickly wrap up on the National Cathedral. There are other issues to discuss.
Yes, we'll discuss them. But so clearly, when people make it look like it's Akufo-Addo's project, are you saying when President Akufo-Addo is leaving in 2 years, he will take the cathedral away? No, let's stop this. And we can interrogate and ask the important questions as we are asking. We demand the details of the expenditure, where we've gotten to and all that. And again, let me say, when you go to sites in construction and you think that money has been expended, you haven't seen it, so nothing has been expended, you are wrong. That is where most of the money goes. It takes time. So you think that you go and take a drone picture and you come, I haven't seen the edifice so that the money is expended.
I haven't taken drone pictures.
You brought what a colleague? No. A colleague of ours brought it to Parliament.
Just stand on the
a colleague of ours brought it to Parliament.
Just stand on the 11th floor at Jobs.
But Murtala, he has a fair point though.
No, so you don't go to construction site and you think that, so what are you impugning? What are you impugning?
I would give you reasons why I said that nothing is there.
We know that
what are you impugning?
you go through a place, and then by the next week you go there and there's
how many years?
There's a structure.
No,
there.
but the base structure is always important.
Are you done? Are you done?
I'm not done. I'm not done.
Quickly, please.
So quickly.
Yeah, I have done construction.
What is this? You are the only one. Are you the only one who have done construction?
I don't care
what.
So
the base structure is always expensive and is always not seen by ordinary hands because you don't have the hindsight of the details of what goes down. You don't have it. So you are only speculating that because you don't see the superstructure out there, nothing has been done.
I haven't talked of superstructure.
Please, I'm saying that because you've not seen it, because you're all alleging that monies have been expended, we don't see anything. When you go there, it looks like a galamsey site. Please,
one block.
If that is your understanding of that monies have been judiciously used, then you are wrong. So let me say, I've said 3 things here. It's not Akufo-Addo's personal property. It's a national cathedral. It's a national cathedral. It remains a national cathedral, and every money spent has been accounted for. Of course.
To who?
You were just telling us the Minister of Finance before Parliament had told us how much has been expended so far and how much is left to be expended. So this issue of the minister not able to explain, we won't take that until the report comes to Parliament.
Right.
Let's see the position of the committee.
But I just want to ask Joy FM, Joy TV, you people, Joy News, I beg you. I am challenging you to go to Parliament and ask of the clerk. She is called Juan.
You think the clerk will...
The
report will come. How long is it? Today. Stop this.
Not the clerk. I want you to go to the minister for tourism, or the chief director. You want to know.
The report to be coming. The report to be coming. Please. I won't sit here for you to...
Hold on.
Me, I should hold on.
We have all admitted that apart from the monies they have expended to this, the ministry own letter, and I would just 2 minutes read what he has provided. Minister of Finance.
That one.
To the oh, he's here. I mean, I will show you even there. Look at it, Minister of Finance. But I just want to go to the detail, what they've provided. They said, look, on the 7th of June, 2019, payment of advance mobilization for construction, for consultant working on the design.
They've provided details of it, and I'm telling you.
Please, this is not
you are doing what? But not what?
I know you are uncomfortable. But
me uncomfortable about what?
Consultant working on the designs of the National Cathedral. Amount he provided CD and then dollar
equivalent. Yeah.
445,000 Ghana cedis, and in dollar equivalent 89,000. Now you come to 5th March 2021. Payment of consultancy service in respect of the designs of the National Cathedral. The first one designed, another one designed.
No,
let me finish. CD equivalent.
Did you pay all the money?
CD equivalent.
What is this?
CD equivalent 80,525,461 Ghana cedis.
So if this is not
dollar equivalent,
if this is not detailed,
dollar equivalent.
What are you talking about?
13 million.
What is this? If this is not detailed expenditure,
now
what else are you calling detailed
expenditure? You are disrespecting the viewing public. On the 1st of February 2021, payment of consultant service of the designs, the same designs of the National Cathedral.
Probably they broke it down.
It's the breakdown of payments. What is
I'm coming
this?
to a point to shut him up.
Shut you up.
I'll shut
you
you
shut me up.
You couldn't even
Shut me
respond to the issues I raised.
What are the issues?
Now, with all this,
what are the issues?
with all
So
this,
the cumulative.
hold on, with all this,
What is this?
The cumulative is 58,141,509.52 and the cedi equivalent $339,003,064 Ghana cedis 86 pesos. So at nowhere in the information provided did the minister indicate the contribution from private entities, organizations. We have not been told. Nowhere. Nowhere. This is the supervisory ministry. Two, now I am shocked that for politics, I can understand.
So the details of expenditure has been provided and you have a problem.
I'm saying that.
Or are you saying that 335 is all going to the...
I'm saying that...
Is that what you are saying?
Out of it.
No.
Hold on.
To the design?
Oh, out of it.
Please.
Out of it.
Let's stop.
Out of it. If you calculate 25 million, by even 13 Ghana cedis at the time, $25 million, that gives you 20 million plus. So the point I'm just making is that if you are asked to provide...
So this expenditure is all limited to the design?
No, this is not all limited to the design.
So why are you not mentioning other things? You are only mentioning the design.
I have just read what I'm... And you won't even allow... Let me go to 19th August, 2021. Additional... In fact, let me come here first. 29th October 2021. Government of Ghana contribution to the National Cathedral Secretariat to enable commencement of planned activities. 142,762,000. That is 25 million. Now, dollars. If you sunk $25 million in a project, is it just for providing the... All right, gentlemen. I'm coming. Another one. I'm coming. He said another one. That is $25 million. Now, 19th August 2021.
All this additional the ministry you are accusing, you don't know what they use the money for. You are reading what they've given you.
All right. Additional government of Ghana contribution to the National Cathedral, which is about $10 million. So if you add $10 million to $25 million, government contribution, that gives you $35 million. I want to ask him, now, what he sees there, you will sink $35 million in a project like that, and you think that Ghanaians are not justified in finding out that not even a block. Are we zombies?
No, right. This is the ignorance you are exhibiting. This is the ignorance you are exhibiting. Hold on. No, because you see, in construction, you don't have the detailed bill of quantities as to when... No,
have they provided the detailed bill of quantities?
So if you sit as a layman and you assume you haven't seen block, means that
if I don't have anything,
then you are wrong.
If I don't have anything,
then you are wrong. You are wrong.
Stop shouting. If I don't have anything, I know that $25 million has been paid. If I don't know anything, I know that $25 million has been paid to the architect. Hold on. If I don't know anything, I know that if you sink $35 million, if I don't know anything, if you sink $35 million, if you sink $35 million, I know that Joy FM and you people have demanded from them to tell us what they have done with the money expended so far. So they could not provide that.
But the man provided you with the information.
That's not even the detail. Two, you haven't even provided the contribution of organizations. If this is not Atayi working, if this is not Tivri, what else is it?
So the finance ministry and the IMF have announced
details. It's the same finance ministry that gave you the
detail. What information? The
information you are putting out there is came from the finance minister. You are
embarrassed about what I just read.
What have you read?
I can understand.
The information the man gave you.
It's not even.
You are reading the same thing he gave you.
Can we proceed, gentlemen?
We will not go to IMF. We are here. I'm not surprised.
So the finance ministry and the IMF announced earlier this week that they've reached a staff level agreement. Gentlemen,
I'm sure
they've reached a staff level agreement. Now, Murtala made reference to something you're reported to have said, backing the claims of your finance minister that we were not going to go to the IMF. Now we are there. We've seen the CD react very positively. There are those who allude the CD's performance to the announcement by the IMF and other factors. But from where you sit, not going to the IMF, now we are there at a staff level agreement, and the debt exchange program being threatened by Labour, which says, do not touch our pensions at all. What are your hopes on how quickly we can receive that $3 billion in order to stabilize the economy further?
Well, I think that the recovery is not sporadic. It will take time. Our recovery will certainly take time, and like many other economies, because the economy is not in isolation. It's tied to global economy and within the sub-regional economy. So how others in the sub-region and the global platform are performing will aid your process of recovery. So we are all hoping and working very hard to ensure that our recovery comes faster than anticipated. However, we are challenged with the balance of payment. That is why we wanted to go to the IMF for credit facility for support. And 3 billion, it's not enough though, but it will go a long way to support our recovery so that we're able to meet our obligations as a country and keep our economy running. And whilst at it, we should be taking the drastic decisions to be able, we all know the problems of this economy. We've known the problems of this economy from the days of old. When we were in the basic schools, the basic economic questions they will ask you, you know them. Why are we not doing manufacturing, importing, and all that? So we've gotten to the stage where we must all psych ourselves.
But that's why you have 1D, 1F.
Yes, of course, but it is not overnight. It will take time. Clearly, 1D, 1F is doing very well, and I think that we must all support it. Of course, these are things that hitherto we've not seen in our country before. We have. Are
you saying we didn't see we had tomato factories in this country at a point we were producing matches?
I haven't seen in the regime since independence that has birthed 126 companies.
Are these all fresh from the start, or some of them government gave some support to?
If you read the policy, now 260-something companies, 126 are ready, operational and functional. There were factories and companies that were collapsed virtually on its knees. Government policy is to revamp them.
But there were those that were also existing that government partnered.
Exactly. But that is the essence of a policy. Why do you want to, ailing companies, you don't support them to survive, then you're going to start all new things afresh.
Are you suggesting that all these companies that receive support were ailing?
A lot of them. If not, they wouldn't have signed on to the program. Nobody.
Mention one.
Everpure company is one.
Ailing.
Yes, of course. Go and find out. Go to my constituents. At least they have the biggest plant there now today. I'm telling you, they have the biggest plant.
No, I'm saying it was ailing.
Of course. Most of the companies that sign on to it, if there's nothing available to them, you think they would have signed on to the program?
Well, some will sign on because of expansion. Some will sign on.
Of course, that is what it means. What do you want? You want expansion. Okay? If you are not expanded to your capacity because of certain factors, and you now have a support to expand to that capacity, isn't it good for economy? So you think that you bring a policy, and all the policy should seek to do is to collapse existing companies or who are not able to expand.
That's not.
So that is not it. So nobody should belittle the impact of supporting existing companies to further expand. Already they have the experience. So when you are supporting them, whilst you are bringing new ones along, that is very important. So coming to this, I think that the haircut, I've always expressed my opinion on this haircut with the pensions. Clearly somebody is retiring today. He's structured his or her life to be getting his returns on monthly basis. If that is going to delay, it's going to affect them. I called on the minister to sit down with them, to really...
But why hasn't that happened? I mean, that's the problem for many of these unions and labor organizations. They say the posturing of this government is one of arrogance.
Well,
I speak to them every morning. So let me tell you what their concerns are.
I've also listened.
Let me tell you what their concerns are. They say the posturing of this government is one of arrogance. Time without number, they've had government take decisions that involve them without necessarily consulting them. Is that not a big problem for you?
I think if that is true, then it's a big problem. But we're all rushed into this. We saw it coming, the consultation levels. But I think it's due to perhaps meeting the staff level agreement with the IMF team to announce it and getting on. But of course, I'm not taking excuses for the finance ministry. And I've always said that the levels of consultations were quite low. Understanding of this process in itself is problematic. People don't, there's so much apprehension. Of course, don't forget the opposition started putting things that are not even true, to the extent that some were even alleging that you wake up to your own savings in your bank account that will be taken out of your account and all that. And again,
who alleged that?
Issues of pensions are very critical to the survivor, especially when people don't earn so much and they plan their life. those who have left job and those who are yet to go on retirement. There will be a lot of apprehension in the system.
So
you
suggest government should relook at it or engage?
No, there should be proper engagement.
Okay. But it can still go ahead to touch the pensions?
No, not necessarily to touch the pension, because you see, there's been some financial stability fund that have been launched, and the essence of it, the 15 billion, the essence of it is to support the financial institutions not to go down in the face of this implementation of this debt sustainability thing that we are talking about. They should all sit down. Look, I engage people who are coming out with things that are so threatening to the survival of the institutions. And I think that the minister should give them a hearing and let them listen to each other and they come out with something that will be very useful. Because if organized labor, that is what holds this economy. They are threatening the way it's going. I don't think it's good for this country. For us, the process of recovery, we need organized labor. We need everybody to come along with us. I think the timing was too short for the engagement, and they should go back to the drawing board and get them engaged properly for everybody to be heard. And that's the only way.
I'll come to you shortly, Murtala. You were saying that you were rushed into this, and I'm quoting you. Was it a case of being rushed into this, or government just being adamant and not listening to the experts as far back as 2 years ago who were hinting of going to the IMF? Like I said, you are reported as saying that we won't go to the IMF.
No.
And so is it a case, can I finish, please? Is it a case that you were rushed into this, or you were clearly adamant, or for many people, we were just delusional and we thought we would come out of this without going to the IMF?
Get me. Rush into it is about the announcement of the haircut and the issues around it. Because it was too sudden. I didn't see it coming. But let me also place on record that doctored tape, portions of my... Please, watch the program. Please, what is this?
Murtala, let him respond. I'll come back to you.
I'm giving you, challenge them. Go to Metro TV.
Oh, you watch the program live.
Go to Metro TV.
Right.
Speak to the producer, Annie Ampofo.
Right.
He give you a full tape of what I said.
What did you say?
Okay? My comment were, we are going to the IMF, we will not go to the IMF, is not the subject matter for discussion. And they picked only, we are not going to the IMF. And you are running with it.
Okay.
Please.
I'm happy you're here to clear the air.
I have told you,
he hasn't
go to Metro TV. You can run the mischief with it. I don't mind.
I'm happy you cleared the air.
You can go to Metro TV.
Right.
You can talk to Randy Abbey. They will tell you. They were laughing at you.
I watched the program.
You didn't watch it.
So Murtala,
let me. So then rush into it is a timing and announcement.
Not necessarily going to the IMF.
Not necessarily going to the IMF.
But do you think if we had gone earlier, we would be better off?
Perhaps. Look, I had said on that same program that Ghana is a member of that institution.
Right.
And we've done business with on 17 good times. This is not the first time we are going to the IMF. Don't forget, when we came into office, there was an IMF program on.
We were just exiting, yeah.
We were not just exiting. When we came, we were not just exiting.
We were left with a year to exit.
You think the year was...
And you extended
Yes,
it.
and we went through it. So the point is that we have done business with the IMF before. Okay? So going to the IMF is not a crime, so to speak. But what you make out of it is critical.
Does this government feel bruised? Does the ego and the pride of this government feel bruised by the decision to go to the IMF?
I wouldn't say so, except to say the assurance from the finance minister that we are not going to the IMF, because most communicators or people in government will always take a cue from the finance minister. That was said in no time they will go to the IMF. That, for me, is problematic. But otherwise, doing business with the IMF is normal thing to be done. What you get from the IMF and the kind of program you sign on to is most important. It's not about doing business with the IMF. The IMF have always been with us in this country. In terms of sharing data, in terms of information and all that, we've worked with them throughout. We've signed on to 17 different programs at different times in this country, and we all know that. So for me, that's not the subject matter. The subject matter is about how this process of recovery will get everybody on board to ensure that people really understand it. There are a lot of propaganda out there that if people don't get to understand it, there will be panic reaction to their investment and all that. Some people genuinely has monies that will last the period that government is calling on them to keep their investment with them and all that. Of course, time value for money, especially the rate at which the cedi was depreciating. And if you have 1 million cedis and you are going to get your money in 5 years, obviously by the time the 5 years come, and with the rate that is being paid you, you lose the value of your money.
Right.
So these are concerns that people are genuinely sharing. And it's not limited to a certain group of people. All of us are caught up in this. And we need to have the proper assurances and the proper understanding of the process. This is not politics. Economy, you can't do extreme partisan politics with the economy. It will really expose it. So we don't believe that this is something that government is pushing on the throat of anybody to punish anybody or otherwise. All of us are caught up in this. Therefore, when we demand the answers, it should come. And I think that organized labor should sit with government. The government should be prepared, especially the finance ministry, to give the necessary information and assuage the fears of the masses of this country.
Right.
That's the way to
Okay, so Murtala, I'm on the Facebook page of the Bank of Ghana, and the post, the topmost post, is the latest announcence of the exchange rates. For the USD, is buying at 10.3948 cedis and selling at 10.4052 cedis. This should be exciting for you, isn't it?
Well, first and foremost, the last time I checked, ISE is not doing partisan politics. CDD is not doing partisan politics. Imani isn't doing partisan politics. Multimedia, you guys are not doing partisan politics. The NDC may be seen as doing partisan politics. But if our so-called partisan politics coincides with the thinking of this independent body, my friend CCN says the partisan politics. I wanted
some people.
Oh, please.
Get it
clear.
Please. Some people are doing partisan politics.
You see,
some people.
So
quote me right.
I was very quiet.
And you were doing it.
I was very quiet. We watch you on Good Morning Ghana. In fact,
No, don't go back.
Why are you going back? As I've given you the source, go and check.
We moved on.
Why are you sitting here?
When you ask him a question, he went there and you think I shouldn't
No,
go.
he went there because you went there earlier.
We were making an allegation that were not true.
I'm on a program with him.
I am, listen.
Okay, then I'm just going to
Murtala.
I'm just going to use one proverb. One northern proverb. So proverbs, so I shouldn't go.
Okay, please go ahead.
There is a popular Dagomba proverb or northern proverb, and I don't mean him. I mean that a language spoken in silence would get to its intended ear. And with apologies to those who may be taking their breakfast. That the anus is better than the mouth that says something and denies it.
What?
Okay. That's fair enough.
Proverbs. Please, Proverbs. I should listen.
I challenge
Proverbs.
I know Annie.
So I'll come back here again. I said I want the food to play here.
Proverbs.
So when am I coming here? Now I will come back here.
My producer.
I have been denied from response. Now my Proverbs. Are you denying me?
Question about the exchange
You give me the chance.
So tell your viewers that you get the food to play this.
Are you excited?
I'll come. But you gave me the. You said I can have the proverb. I've said, so let me respond to your
Please
question.
Go ahead.
Look, we have repeatedly, in fact, over 2 years ago, demanded that these people should go to the IMF. We've told them repeatedly. So if the government goes to the IMF, we'll be happy. We'll be happy. The NDC insisted that they should go to the IMF. The Minister for Finance said they were not going to the IMF. Someone also said he never said we are not going to the IMF. We are not. We want is different from we are not. Again, you have the Deputy Minister for Finance, my good friend, Dr. John Kuma, who stood on the floor and said that this government is not going to the IMF. That as long as NPP is in power, we won't go to the IMF. You have my good friend, the Deputy Minister for Trade, who said they're not going to the IMF. Many other people, including their numerous incompetent communicators, were everywhere saying that they are not going to the IMF, as if it was a defeatist action or decision taken by the NDC. Mind you, when we went to the IMF, they condemned it. When they came to power, they had the opportunity to exit. They extended it. I mean, principle, candor, sincerity, honesty matter in politics. But the people whose taxes ensures your comfort and how you govern, tell them the truth. No matter how bitter the truth is. Now, on the issue, I beg you. On the issue of the successes, the
CDs
appreciating. Look, I am happy. Everybody should be happy. But you see, myself and he, before we came in here, we all agreed that it may rise again. It may rise again because, and we agreed that because we all have certain things to buy. I was telling him that I'm buying a combined harvester for my farm, and at this time, the rate it would be good to buy it at this time, but I don't have the money yet. I wish
he has the money.
Oh no! Honestly, I had.
Are you hitting
I had good harvest, alhamdulillah, this year. I mean, I had good harvest, but you have other challenges that you need to look up to. So we are all concerned about that. But you see, we should ask ourselves why the city is performing at this rate. It's not real. One, it has to do with the fact that importation has come down, and the reason why import has come down is because if you buy things, let's say $5,000 in Dubai, for example, and you bring it to Ghana, you sell it when the dollar was 6 cedis to $1. Now, by the time you go back to buy the items, the price is still $5,000 in Dubai, but because our cedi lost its value, if you need a lot of money to go buy the same item, when you come back, the only way you can make profit is to increase. So importation has come down by government's own figures. So that could be one of the reasons. Two, the measures put in place by the Bank of Ghana, refusing to give forex or taking a decision not to give forex for the importation of certain items. That is another reason. So it is not cogent economic policies that have occasioned this. Now, you know that the Hajj will be coming very soon. We still do not even know how much you'll be paying for Hajj. The reason why even in December, when people expect, or sorry, in November, October, when people expect the dollar to be going higher, is because importation has come down. The question then is, will it affect productivity? Yes, it will. Why is it that inflation is now 50.4%? It means that businesses are not doing well. It means that industries are not doing well. It means that the economy is not growing. Jobs are not being created. So if all those things are not done, and we want to celebrate what we are experiencing today, we may be very wrong. Again, you asked him about the 1D1F, and he said that he's doing very well. I mean, clearly, every government policy decision, particularly to industrialize, you industrialize one to grow the economy, and once the economy grows, what happens? You create jobs. The economy is not growing. The jobs are not being created. Because if the jobs were to be created, unemployment rate wouldn't be increasing the rate at which it is increasing. Everybody knows that the 1D1F comes with some conditions. If you accept to come on 1D1F, you enjoy somewhat incentives. And the incentives include, what's the name, waivers for taxes, import duties, 5 years you are not paying. We should ask ourselves why import duties, monies we generate, revenue we generate from import duties are diminishing. They are diminishing because of the so-called 1D1F you are doing. Some of them are not increasing jobs. You remember in Parliament before we rose, and your reporter was there, some of us spoke against a waiver that was going to be given to 2 companies. You know how much we gave, the tax waiver we gave to 2 companies? $11 million plus in the name of 1D1F. Over $11 million. And some of us felt strongly and spoke against it, that we didn't need to give that waiver. Over $11 million because those companies have agreed to come on 1D1F. And we ask simple questions. The policy is that if you agree to come on 1D1F, you must provide evidence of jobs you have created. That companies didn't provide evidence of jobs they have created, for which reason we are giving them over $11 million tax waiver. That over $11 million tax waiver could have taken care of free SHS for years. That over $11 million tax waiver could have provided a lot of things, paid contractors. So what is happening is that you do 1D1F, existing companies, industries, which you enumerated, they take advantage of it because of the 5 years tax waiver. They come, nobody finds out whether they have created jobs. For me, that is the danger. Because if the 1D1F was having the impact it was supposed to have, don't get me wrong, it would be a very good policy. If it was having the impact it was supposed to have, unemployment would have been reducing. Yet unemployment is skyrocketing. The census that was conducted, unemployment was 17.4. I've just seen statistical information provided by the Ghana Statistical Service. They are now paying unemployment about 13.9. You took it from 6.8 from the NDC without even 1D1F. If you have 1D1F, unemployment is rising. Nobody is telling us that whether a proper impact assessment has been done on the 1D1F. And that is why I said the other time, these are not the kind of industries the NDC is looking up to. In terms of creating the opportunities for industries to strive, that is the responsibility of any government, any useless government anywhere in the world. You have a responsibility to create the enabling environment for industry, for businesses to strive. Now, when you tell me that yes, that was what we promised, then why did you even make that promise in the first place? Because that is the mandate of any government. Let us also not forget, the very first day President, then Mr. Nana Addo, mentioned 1D1F was after the commencement of the project at Commander, the sugar factory. And I'm happy we are on this program. I'm happy.
Do that.
What
please. What did you do with the Commander?
I'll tell you. I am happy.
What did you do with the factory?
please.
What did you do with it?
Well, I'll come to that.
You diversified them. Which of them had been able
thank
to?
you.
It's a one country. What happened to
you have sold it to someone at 5 cedis per acre. You've sold the land.
Companies have relocated.
You've sold the land to someone at 5 cedis per acre. But you see,
you were in government for 9
years.
How many factories did you sell in this country? What were the policies you put in place for the private sector?
It's now saying that we're in government for 19 good years.
What did you do about it?
I don't know that.
When you were deputy minister for trade, that was your responsibility.
I'll tell you what we did.
What did you do?
I wasn't the
What happened to it?
If he's now saying 19 years, I understand.
Yes, I mean, the first NDC.
I understand.
Well, 19 years.
Well, I understand.
Came back again, 8 years. What did you do?
I understand. Maybe if you don't appreciate our political history. In fact, Nkrumah built 13 factories. The first decision your grandfathers did, the Buza Dankwa, you collapsed all of them because they had links with the Soviet Republic. What are you talking about? So you want us to go to the history? You saw your tradition.
What happened to them?
You see, exactly. It was my turn. A tradition.
This and what happened to them? You were deputy minister. So what was the policy?
I'll tell him what I did.
What did you do?
I'll tell him what I did.
What did you do?
I said,
you are rubbishing.
Hold on.
One be one. That's not a good policy.
Please.
That is not a good policy.
I've realized that consistently he plays the man and not the ball. All the issues I raised with regard to the TV on the Cathedral, he couldn't even respond to them. He keep on saying, we have explained.
You sit here.
Hold on. So when you ask the question about what one, I ask a simple question. And maybe perhaps I did economics at SSS, but I have some little appreciation. You formulate policies to achieve an objective. And as a planner by profession, before you formulate policy, you have your end results that you are working towards. Policies of
factory never saw that. You never had
that. Please.
You finished, you expended money on the Commander Sugar Factory. If you came back and tell us you didn't have a plantation to feed it, and that was your planning.
See, that
was your planning.
Another ignorance.
What was planning?
Your station.
You finished the factory and you came back that you are now going for a loan to start a plantation.
Another ignorance.
Please.
You can do simple reading. I moved the motion for the approval of the $24 million in September for the purposes of the sugar plantation. Don't parade your ignorance on national TV.
When was it?
Can I finish? Can I make my point?
I am happy. I've read the document. At the time they were completing the factory, there was nothing like that. And what was the plantation?
Okay,
what happened to it?
I can understand that.
What was it?
I can understand he repeatedly does. Your station, multimedia.
What?
Your station officially sent Captain Smart to Commander. Captain Smart. Can I finish? Please.
Now it's not Parliament again.
Please.
Now it's Commander. Now it's Commander. It's no more Parliament.
He's not even listening.
It's no more Parliament. Now it's Commander.
Which Parliament?
The sugar that you bought, Parade did the propaganda with it. Where did you get the sugar from?
I am just telling him that your station, multimedia, you sent Captain Smart and a crew officially. When they went there, Captain Smart called me as late as 1 a.m. And I called them to allow him entrance. They held the morning show there. They took them all the processes of the sugarcane cracking up to the production of sugar. It was. Hold on, can I
have enough to feed?
I am coming. So let's see. That is the ignorance. First and foremost, he just said that we didn't have a plan. So ignorant. Go ahead. So I am saying that. Your station reported it, except that you tell me that your station connived with Captain Smart to do that. I'm explaining.
Was it enough to feed the factory?
You want the response. So let me give it. I am using your station. Your multimedia sent Captain Smart with his entire team. They took them all the processes of the sugarcane up to the production of the sugar. Reported. So hold on.
Not only Captain Smart, my other colleagues.
So fantastic. You are even. So the idea that the factory could not produce sugar, that's a fantastic lie.
But that's not what
I'm coming. I'm responding to that. So I have just told you that I moved the motion for the approval of the $24 million. We went to the Indian Exim Bank for 2 loans. 1 for building the factory and 2 for the production of the sugarcane. The factory was supposed to end in December. The contractor finished the project in June. And as they were doing, we were monitoring. So we knew that the contractor was going to finish it earlier than the scheduled date. So we started the process for the production of the sugarcane. Mind you, within 6 months, sugarcane is done. A factory that was supposed to take 2 years to build, you don't produce sugarcane and pack it until you finish. It simply doesn't make economic sense. So when we realized ahead of the scheduled date for completion that the factory would finish in June, we started the plantation. We used the University of Cape Coast. We had over 5,000 acres and started nursery plantation. We were supposed to...
In anticipation.
In anticipation, yes. Now for his ignorance.
Between June,
I'm saying that
he's providing some material information that is
now for his ignorance. Everywhere in the world, any factory, sugar factory, they don't operate a full year. They use 6 months to finish. Then they use about 4 to 5 months for maintenance. So they work continuously. At the time when we were doing that, that was not the time for the harvesting of sugarcane. But because the contractor had finished with the work and wanted to hand over, he couldn't have waited till December. Now, if you give me a contract to do for the purposes of producing sugar, and I finish, I need to hand over. And in handing over, what responsible governments do is that you need to do a test run. And we see that the work we have given you, you are able to do that. That was the test run which was done.
Please,
and in fact,
microphone.
That was the test run which was done. So the reason why we...
You're dragging us.
When they are confronted with the fact, that's what they do. He would deny that he never said, "Won't go to the IMF." I leave that to your question. When we did the test run, and that is why, and I'm happy you said, apart from Captain Smart, other journalists went there. So the argument that the factory could not produce sugar, that was a lie. Two, I asked this Minister for Trade, this current Minister for Trade, that they should tell us, they said they are going to reopen it. They should tell us one single spanner they have added to the factory, for which reason they think that we can now produce sugar. Not even spanner. What they did, they allowed the factory to rot. They went and changed some zincs. And I'm saying, this current Minister for Trade is a candidate for prosecution, having allowed that factory to rot because they refused to access the loan. After Parliament approved the $24 million loan in September 2016, and mind you, immediately the approval, Parliament rose. In fact, that was in October, we rose, the time we were rising. Now, what this government needed to do, having won the elections, you needed to go to access the money, find out from them why they refused to access the money. Now, you said that people did wrong, and you were investigating. Absolutely nothing came out of that. You asked PricewaterhouseCoopers to do the valuation of the thing. They did that for you. It was about $54 million. Within 6-7 months, you came out and you told people that, no, the thing is about $11 million because you wanted to sell it to your friends. I am asking him, and I'm asking multimedia, find out from this minister. They have announced that the Commander Sugar Factory, they have done a lot and they want to start the processing of the sugar. Whether they have added one bowl, one spanner, one metal into the factory. Not a single metal has been added. Yet, it can now produce sugar. What it simply means is that they were lying to the people of this country that the factory could not produce sugar. And I'm happy that today on this program, you have confirmed, apart from what Captain Smart did, you are not friends of NDC. You are not doing it for NDC. You did your independent journalistic work, and the sugar was actually produced. This Minister for Trade is the candidate for prosecution.
Right. We have 5 minutes to wrap up.
So if you do not know, don't know. Go and read the hands up.
Going into elections this weekend. Please, slide. You interjected.
Please.
Listen, we have 5 minutes.
Are you saying I shouldn't respond to the things he said?
We have.
Is that what you are saying?
Is that what you are saying? I will give you time.
You asked me to keep quiet. Are you saying
slide? I will give you time.
And you said you have 5 minutes. You are going to NDC elections.
Permit me.
Is that what you are saying?
You don't want to
permit
talk about
me.
NDC elections.
Murtala, you have 2 minutes to respond to it. I'll wrap up with you. Sly, I will wrap up with you. Please, please.
No, Murtala, I said the things you said here.
You are dragging the conversation.
This is unfair.
Murtala.
What?
What
has NDC elections going to do with this?
Your party is going into the elections this week.
What?
I'm just wrapping up with you on that bit. In 2 minutes, there are concerns about rather unfortunate happenings within the internal machinery of the party. You have Johnson Isiedin-Ketia and Samuel Ofusampo going head to head. We've heard a certain leak tape, which is unfortunately casting a lot of doubt on the party's sincerity when it came to the election petition and whether you really needed to do that. There's also Broja Jemfi and Pablo's issues. I know this will not be enough, but just in 2 minutes, just do this for me.
Well, first and foremost,
what would you like to say about it?
I'll look at Broja Jemfi, Sami Jemfi, and then the Pablo's issues. I think these three individuals have been they are misbehaving. And to be very honest, I think that the party should sanction them. The party should let them understand that none of them, either Sami Jemfi or Broja Jemfi or Pablo, none of them is bigger than the party. They ought to understand that. The misbehavior was completely unacceptable, but that could not have marred the beauty of the NDC in organizing the Congress. I was in Tamale, frankly speaking, and I got wind of what happened, you know, the day before, because I was occupied in
the day after.
In fact, that day, sometime in the evening, that I got information about what happened. I think that the party should bring these people. If there is the need for them to be sanctioned, the party should sanction them. They are not bigger than the party. Two, on the issue of the national chairman and then the national, the national chairman position, I don't see the fuss about it. I mean, in a democratic dispensation, and I was happy when I listened to my head of department, Dr. Alidu, on your program. He said, look, those things are expected to happen. People, there is clientelism, there is, blocks. Blocks are accepted in politics. Even in their own party, they have blocks, those who are pro-Alan, who are pro Baumia, and those who are pro my good friend Kennedy Ajapong, who told me that if he wins, he's going to make me a minister. So all those things are expected to happen. And as a political science student, for me, it is the beauty of our democracy. We need to have divergent views. Divergent views help to enrich the policy decision of that party. Because mind you, some of the campaign promises that are made by these respective and individual candidates, they would have made those things thinking that if the party wins elections, and inshallah when we win elections in 2024, they may find a way to convince the candidates. Because mind you, have to draft our manifesto before we determine to know who would become the president, inshallah, in 2024. They would have factored those things in. My plea is that we should do that with some respect and regard to the structures of the party. There is absolutely nothing wrong with people contesting for the same positions. And there is absolutely no wrong.
Are you supporting any of them? Who are you supporting?
I have a candidate I will support. I have had the opportunity to have dealt with these two people. Either of them who emerges the chairman, the NDC will be the winner. I know there is so much respect between the two. I mean, forget of what any of them might have said in the campaign. When people are on they will say a whole lot of things. But I respect the calmness that they have all demonstrated. And they all know that the only enemy, the only disaster we need to get out of the governance of this country is the MP. Because
who will be the next general secretary?
Another two good friends of mine.
There are actually three.
In fact, three. Otukono is a person I have worked with, as the deputy general secretary. Fifi Kwete, he was a deputy minister, and I was NYEP. Then when he became a deputy minister, I was a deputy minister. I was in parliament with him. I'm a very good guy. I have worked with Elvis, from student politics. You want me to sit here and tell you that I support one of them? All right, okay. Let me move to Sly. Sly, yes. Wrapping up with you. So
Honorable Murtala had made some factual inaccuracies here.
Which is?
One. The factory is claimed that was completed in June. It was actually commissioned in May 2016 by former President Mahama.
I say, hold on.
Please.
Let him finish, then you have time to respond.
It was commissioned in May.
Right.
So it's not true that the factory was completed in June.
That's a lie.
He actually, if I remember, he said it was handed over in June.
The factory was commissioned. The factory that was commissioned in May. How could it have been handed over in June?
Right. Okay. So next point, please.
So first of all, so from May to December, that you lost the elections. So the factory was left without a plantation to feed it.
When did we approve the budget line for
no, but that's the planning. If you went for a loan to construct, and the part of the loan, there's additional
2 tranches.
There were 2 tranches. I'm saying that.
Can I help you?
No, you can't help.
We're in
don't attempt.
Let him finish.
So it was not finished in June, as he's claiming. It was actually commissioned. How do you commission a factory that you don't have a raw material to feed it? In May.
Did you listen to me?
And it went on to December. What did they do about it? And he's talking about planning. This were fact check when the Commander Sugar Factory was
Did you listen to
it? Was commissioned in May.
Your man will be prosecuted. The Minister
for please. He will be prosecuted. Stop this joke. Stop this joke. We've heard this. 1 minute. You heard this joke on many occasions. You rather come into opposition, you
will be
go into
prosecuted.
prison. We've heard this when President Kufuor was in power. What happened after 8 years of
he will be prosecuted?
Nothing happened. So check
law.
when the factory was commissioned. It was commissioned in May 2016. From May 2016 to December, how many months? And what kind of plantation and what kind of planning went into it? Please check the date. So you don't sit here. I'm saying that you.
It was on the 30th of May, 2016.
Of course, so it's not June. It is not June that you attend the handed over. If it was not handed over much earlier, when was it commissioned in May?
30th of June.
You said it was handed
30th
over.
Of May.
You actually commissioned it. You don't commission a factory. You don't commission a factory that is not ready for operations. So you now commission a factory in June, in May. And you wait till December, you don't have a plantation to feed it. And you claim to have been the better planner of this economy.
Did we wait till
Please,
December?
what did you do between May and December?
But test runs were done.
If you do test run, it doesn't mean you have a raw material to feed it.
But he's explained that he's explained that they were expecting to complete in December. After which no. Let me
Please, don't even go there. You were expected to finish the factory in December. And you went to commission it in May.
Because
it might have even
they handed over early.
It might have even been finished much earlier than the May for the president to commission. I'm not sure it was finished the same day the president went to commission it. So let's say a whole clear year. And when if you plan properly as you claim, whilst the construction was ongoing,
the contractor will know that it will be finished
early.
But I just explained.
You didn't explain anything.
You're not.
So clearly, if somebody will finish 1 year ahead of schedule, you wouldn't know.
1 year ahead. 1 year ahead.
Yeah, of course. It was not completed in May and was commissioned in May. He
said his own questions and he answered.
No, but these are facts. I
have just told you on this program that when we realized they were finishing it in June, when we realized they were finishing in June, we started the process.
And I'm telling you, it was not finished in June. You had finished in May.
The factory was supposed to finish.
Couldn't have finished in May and commissioned in May.
The factory was supposed to have finished in May.
I just have to end here.
Adnan is a candidate for
president. Thank you so much.
Your man.
President Mahama is walking on the street of Accra.
Your man.
Even former President Mahama is walking on the street of Accra.
Gentlemen,
your men, his men,
fly.
They are in prison. Go and check. NCA board chairman and
so Mr. Tete MP for Tiama English man from and Murtala Mohammed MP for Tamale Central have been my guest this morning. Gentlemen,
his men that he ruled this country with are in prison.
Well, later on the show we'll get very interactive with you. You can share your thoughts with us. You share your thoughts with us. I wanted to give you a minute to discuss the NDC elections, but we run out of time. Well, the Ghana cedi keeps appreciating against the dollar.
Let me do that quickly.
Let's take a quick breather. We'll come back now.